So with that note of positivity and some big wins, I'm extremely excited to hand the podium over to one of the most positive people I know, Chairman Paul Decker from the Waukesha County Board of Directors. Chairman Decker has been a huge champion for the RTLC. He helped found our organization. So everybody please welcome to the stage, Chairman Paul Decker. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you for that positive introduction. I appreciate that, and people that know me, I walked into a room yesterday at something, and somebody said, "Hi, Smiley," and I go, "Oh, here we go again." So it was like, I always feel that the need for positive thought is real, especially when we're taking on the challenges we are talking about today, this morning. So I'll begin with some of that, but first I want to just say, I got to do this first, that's right. I have to take a picture since this is one of our first live things, and they won't believe it unless it gets on social media and we show an actual audience, so just we have to do that. Anyway, I want to say thank you very much for being here this morning. I want to welcome you on behalf. We're here to talk about the entire region, and we want to do that, but you're in Waukesha County. So as Waukesha County Board Chairman, first of all, I want to thank you on behalf of, we just got our updated statistics, the 408,000 people that live, work, and play here in Waukesha County. I also want to welcome you on behalf of the people that come from other counties around us that work here in Waukesha County. The ones that I met and saw while I was trying to get from 16 to 94, as we were going from 2 lanes to 1 and got to know each other really well, bumper to bumper. They all say hi. I also want to thank you on behalf of the County Executive, Paul Farrow, for being here, and on behalf of the County Board of Supervisors, of which I do want to introduce one of our members, Joel Goggin, represents New Berlin. Thank you for being here, Joel. We're pleased to be a part of regional cooperation and economic development. We have several issues in front of us, as Dave alluded to, that are really causing us a lot of consternation right now, not only in this county, throughout the region, throughout Wisconsin, throughout the country. Dave talked about one of them. One of them is people know me, that know me well, that I've been involved with considerably, intimately to some people, is workforce development, especially workforce training. How do we keep our workers, our region attractive, and keep people coming in to take the jobs and keep fulfilling the jobs of all this economic development? I also want to recognize, while I can, because she's doing a great job for us so far, Judy Taylor from the Waukesha County Center for Growth. We've had a lot of wins in economic development in Waukesha County. We've had a lot of wins in Milwaukee County, Racine County, Washington County, Ozaukee County. But what's tying us all together? What's going to keep us together, and what's going to attract people to come and want to live here? I know it's not sitting bumper to bumper on going from 16 to 94. Something just inwardly says that to me. So when we look down the road, when I was thinking this morning of talking about this, I'd look at my business past, the places I've lived, places I worked at. You see, I was small. I grew up in this area, Port Washington, Wisconsin, went to Whitewater, and out of Whitewater, I got a job with a company called, you might have heard of them, called Xerox. And I sold copiers, and here's the good part, my first territory was the south side of Chicago. I earned my master's in street smarts, how to get around. Some of my biggest businesses were with people I never grew up with, I never thought I would interact with, but I did. Fortunately, I was successful at it, but I learned a lot about human nature. I learned a lot about human beings that was not in textbooks, that we don't always philosophize about, but the reality of the streets. Basically, we all want to work. We all want to work together. We can all live together if we put our minds to it. We have to set aside some of the little things that people let themselves get in the way of. But if we do that, it's funny, if I talk to somebody eye to eye, no matter what they look like or what I look like, it all works out. I sold a lot of copiers. But the one thing I learned about selling is the one thing I see missing, whether it's in Wisconsin economic development, whether it's in local economic development, whether it's in our schools, whether it's what we do in, now that I'm an elected local politician, sometimes we're just too Wisconsin nice. We don't sell well. We market ourselves, hey, we're here, we're doing good. Now, my gosh, I have to tell you that any other region, and I lived in Chicago for quite a while, and I never heard it and we drove through it this last Sunday. And now I reminded my wife why we live up here. Because on Sunday, driving through Chicago, we don't have that rush hour on the worst days here in Milwaukee. And I wanted to show her, so we drove up the Dan Ryan Expressway because that's what I used to take to work. Showed her some of the nice places on the south side of Chicago. She's like going, oh, okay, well, glad you survived. But one of the things was, it was bumper-to-bumper traffic all the way. And yet I saw the L, I know that very well, I used to utilize that, going, and it was partially empty, even in Chicago. But then I did see the signs that really reminded me of what we have to do here in our region. Everything in Chicago is Chicagoland. You can be 40 miles out, but you're in Chicagoland. We never refer to this as Milwaukee land. We are very, as Dave said, we've got all these silos. We've got to break down those silos. We've got to break them down quickly. And it's up to all of us, not just in this room, but the people we work with, to realize if we're going to attract, retain, get the workers we need, get the young families we need here in this region, we've got to do this together, and we can't sit in our silos. It's comfortable. Oh boy, is it comfortable. And I will tell you this, as in my 10th year as chair of the board, I learned a lot of things in business that have helped me in this career. But part of my role in business as I elevated up through with different companies and became a VP and a head of marketing and product development, it was all about trying to keep ahead of your competition. How are we going to change? How are we going to make things happen? What do we have to look at? How do we out-engineer? How do we out-design? How do we outsell? And what I've learned in local politics, especially in this area, is, boy, people don't really like change at all. Right, Supervisor? What do we deal with every month at a county board? But somebody, well, we don't need to do that on that road. Like I said, we're 408,000 people in Waukesha County. We have people really worried that we're widening a road out in Dousman because they're jammed up on their highway trying to get to Oconomowoc. Which I want to say to all the other leaders in this room, if you haven't been to Oconomowoc lately, if you want to see what a village or a city can do when they just let the bridle go a little bit, accept change. Right, Judy? We were there for a meeting, go to Oconomowoc. They have a mix of housing. They have actually tall buildings being built in Waukesha County. How about that? We can go above 4 stories. Did you know that? We can go above 4 stories. We really can. But Oconomowoc has all of that. They've redone their lake, they've redone their town, and they're very attractive. They have one thing, and we are out there listening to what they're really missing. They attract a great amount of workforce from Washington County, Dodge County, much more than they attract from Waukesha County because of transit. That's what they were talking to us about. We're like going, well, right now we're just trying to get Brookfield connected to Milwaukee. I'm sorry, you guys are another 20 miles. That'll be, with the whole change resistance thing that we'll see in 20 years. But they're not patient enough for that. We've got to move now. So one thing I learned in business, and I saw it, we had to go to Michigan for a wedding in Kalamazoo. And so on Friday, we got on board the Lake Express. Anybody here take the Lake Express? Yeah. Remember when they were talking about the Lake Express? It'll never work. Boy, that's a lot. 2 crossings a day. Who's going to be on that? Who's going from here to Michigan, Michigan to Milwaukee? It was a lot of, oh my God. Again, the thing I hate the most in the world, negativity. Very negative on that. Heck of an investment. I have to tell you, on Friday, getting at there ahead of time, 40 minutes, trying to get on, there were people in standby. You could only get on with a reservation. Place was loaded with cars, loaded with people. Same thing on the way. We came off in Muskegon, it was jammed getting there. I talked to a couple of people there. I said, is this like this normal? Yeah. It's jammed all the time. Very successful. They keep on adding, they're stretching the season out now into October. Let's hope those winds stay out of the southwest. But it's a pleasant ride. It is expensive, but it's jammed. It proves the concept that we can change if we design something well. It's an intermodal form of transit, incidentally. I know people sometimes when we conceived intermodal, that we were going to talk about intermodal transit as the Regional Transit Leadership Council, it was like, well, okay, some people, what does that mean? Intermodal means a car gets on a boat. The car goes across Lake Michigan on the boat. It gets off and you just keep on connecting. We can do that in this region. We must do that in this region. We've got to start connecting better. I'm so glad to see the Joseph Project people here. I know Senator Johnson's office has been very involved with that. I got involved because of that. And I've done several interviews and trainings there and been there several times. The Joseph Project also proves something else, that we can have a public-private methodology of resolving our transit issues. It started because we had people in an area that needed jobs. They did the training, they did the work, and we got them to work. We have people from 52nd and Center going up to Sheboygan for jobs, and they're happy about it. They're happy about it. They're productive. When I've been there, they told me what it means to go back where they live and not have to look over their shoulders because they got a steady paycheck coming in. They stopped listening to the streets, and I could relate to them because when I worked on the south side of Chicago, I know how attractive the other side of those streets can be. But I also know that there's people that are industrious, that want to work in every area of our city, in every area of our region, and we've got to learn to connect them better. Now, in business, when we wanted to make change, we had to do one thing. We had to vision it. We had to look at it. We had to work at it, and then we designed it. Then we engineered it. And then we did the most important thing, and that's sell it. All along those steps, and I can tell you some of the hardest sales I ever made, were inside boardrooms or inside rooms where we had to sell the concept that we actually had to spend money to get money to return. It's where I learned the term ROI, return on investment. And I remember when I first became a county board supervisor, and I kept insisting that what we had to do in terms of utilizing taxpayer dollars was make sure that we demonstrated that these were investment dollars. For every dollar invested in our community, it would return something to the taxpayers. It wouldn't be wasted. So it had to be efficient, had to be effective. We can do that with regional transportation, regional transit. But we've got to sell it better. I get very disappointed when I hear that there's a chip factory going someplace else like Texas or Arizona, where they don't have water, where they have a lot of sand, and their power isn't reliable. And what do we have here? We have all the resources that they all say they need. We've got reliable power. We happen to be sitting in, just by geological luck, 22% of the world's fresh renewable water, and we don't sell it. We've got people, we've got universities, we've got research, we've got a great technical college system, and I will stand up and cheer for WCTC because they're here, because they're problem solvers, and they'll help train any workforce at any time in their life You can be 40, 50 years old and go get retrained there. But now our employers are investing in our workforce, even more so than ever. So how do we take all that together and sell it better? We have to sell it because if people are going to move here, they're going to want to get around the area better and more efficiently. We've got to sell that better. The Joseph Project is a start to intermodal transit, but so is the BRT, the Bus Rapid Transit. I got to be careful because otherwise, like every other politician, I'll start talking in lexicon. But we have to sell it. One thing, and I know Mayor Riley was here and Mayor Bronto, we were here with the Waukesha County Business Alliance. Was it a week and a half ago? I don't know, kind of runs together, doesn't it, Mayor? Brookings Institute, that's right, a national institute, talked about, put it up on the map and said, you know, one of the areas, they did a heck of a study, really drilled it down. One of the areas in the country that was identified as a coming country where AI, artificial intelligence, is coming together with human development in one of the fastest areas happens to be Milwaukee to Madison. And I knew there were people in the audience going like, what? Us? Oh my gosh, no. Because what's the fear of AI? Ooh, my God, it's change. They're going to take jobs away. Well, any of the employers in here are going like, come on. I know Mike Shields at WCTC is going to be training more machines to do more work that has to be done in our burgeoning factories here. We need to have that. But if you looked at the Brookings study, it was like, I'm looking at that going, gosh, that's great. Now, how are we going to keep the people going back and forth? And again, when I learned in politics that I didn't do well in business was change has to be very, very, very gradual. Real gradual. So that people can accept it. So let's look at what we have. Let's look at our resources. We've got roads. We've got to use the roads. We've got to take, and that's why intermodal transit is going to be so important. We got the BRT. And I'm sorry for those people that are fighting the expansion of 94 between here and downtown Milwaukee. That's at the detriment of Milwaukee. Not at the detriment out here, it's a detriment of Milwaukee. We need to expand those, but we need to use those lanes better. Dave is very excited because BRT is being built, and I'm glad it's being built, but we need to utilize that, look at the last mile study, and connect off of that. Uber and Lyft, they're just the beginning. They're just the first round disruptors. There's going to be plenty of that after. We need to learn to utilize that technology, this technology right here, and connect people. We could connect the Joseph Project with our BRT, with our buses, with Waukesha County and City of Waukesha Transit, and thank you very much for being our partners. We can make that all connecting and help people understand bus schedules. We have to design our structures better. And I say this to all the developers when I have a chance to speak to them. We design things in this area, in this state, as if every day is a beautiful September day. Like January never happens. So our bus stops, our interaction, we can't let people sit in the cold, worry about the snow, because that's inconvenient. Because we are rushing into the 21st century, believe it or not. We're 21 years into it. And people are looking to go door to door. So how do we help them do that? The other thing, when I looked at the Joseph Project, and I kept hearing about, and I know we did a study at the RTLC, that the average commute for somebody from Milwaukee coming to Waukesha was over an hour for their job. That doesn't sound like productive time. However, we have these. So I'm proposing that if people are sitting on a transit, on a bus, or whatever they're trying to do, whatever we utilize, that the employers start looking at the technology and say, hey, rather than waste that time, there's a matter that we can use these for training. And people could get paid as soon as they start, if they get on this, because we have the technology and the capability. When people get on a bus or whatever route they take to get to their besides a car, they could be productive right from minute one. They could check in, start doing their work. Hey, how about that for a concept? Productivity and transportation all in one. It can happen. You have to think about it, imagine it, but we can design it and we can sell it. So I'd like to say thank you to all our regional partners that work with us. Sewer PAC, M7, as well as MMAC, Center for Growth, WCBA, thank you for being with us through this journey. Thank you for getting more involved. I now know that there's more excitement out there, even politically, for this to happen. Because we need to keep developing. Our tasks always as local elected officials is to increase our capability of economic development. Well, here I'm proud to say in Waukesha County, we've kind of overheated it, haven't we? You know, New Berlin's got ABB now expanding there, and when they said 700 new jobs, I'm like going, well, good. We've got thousands of businesses here looking for thousands of people, but good luck in just manufacturing 700 new people. That means we've got to get them from where they are to the jobs, and if we're going to attract the professionals that we need, the engineers, the marketers, the developers, the designers, those are young people. I've heard a lot of things, and I don't want to get into housing because we're fighting that in Waukesha County. How do we get better situated to attract those people to what they want by 2030 and 2035? And that's what we have to be thinking. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for joining us today. And I wanted to, and Dave asked, I think we're right on time, okay. So I want to introduce our keynote speaker this morning. And I saw her talk when she first became designated at Carroll University. We were at an event there. We talked a little bit about this. It was about, this was, again, several years ago, BC, before COVID. And everything was rosy, and we were talking about all things we have to do, and then COVID hit. But I want to say thank you, Missy, for championing the WDC through that. Now, one thing, as I said, we have a lot of business coming into this area and a lot more expansion going on. So I'm proud this morning. I'm not going to go in because I think your bio, the one thing I want to say that I really, about Secretary Hughes, she gets it because she comes from a business background. When I heard her introduced, she talked about what it was like gathering people together, because what you did was also seemed as impossible. Because organic food was not seen as the way of, at the time, of selling a big amount of food. But she did that kind of work. So she understands what it takes to imagine, get together, design, and sell. My pleasure this morning, as of this morning, since I did get a text from one of my staffers, not yet, but very close, any time now, a confirmed secretary of the Wisconsin Economic Development Council. Ladies and gentlemen, introduce Missy Hughes.